Well, the small business owners usually ask me why even do licensing, or they start asking me, should I do franchising and licensing? And a lot of times they ask me because they're bored with their business and they're just not sure how to scale it. So in my opinion, it's probably not the right reason to do it. So I explain to them why I'm doing this, and then I also tell them to consider what their reasons are, number one. Number two is do the math. That's another thing I always say to them. My reasons for doing licensing is because I love watching kind of other people achieve their American dream. And so similar to me achieving mine back in the day. And so I live out my dream right now, and it's so rewarding and it makes me very happy. And I feel like I fully realize myself as a person, as a woman, as an entrepreneur. And so to help others in that journey where they go from not owning a business to owning a business and gaining a lot of traction with it, it's very satisfying. So if you have a strong why like that, people register it. They actually hear you, they want to follow you, they want to create their own, they want to be part of your journey, they want you to be part of their journey. So if you have a strong reason like that, then your enterprise is, in my opinion, more likely to gain traction as opposed to you just trying to do something because you're bored with your current company. And two is I always tell them, do the math, because it's actually a lot of work to make another person successful, to help them become successful. You have to put in your soul into it. It's very similar to coaching, in fact. So maybe even more, you have more time, more commitment than even with coaching, right? So I tell them, like, compare that kind of effort that you're going to put into that person, to that enterprise, versus the fees or whatever remuneration you're going to get from satisfaction. Carefully weigh that and make actually profit and loss statement for your licensor kind of enterprise or franchisor, and then decide, is that worth my effort or not? And a lot of times after I say that, they do the analysis and they tell me, like, actually it's not worth it for me. So because their why wasn't strong enough and the numbers weren't high enough. So a lot of times people start venturing into franchising without thinking through what it's actually going to look like, how they succeed. Right? So I have a friend of mine who became a franchisor. He has, I think, about 8 to 12 franchisees, and they paid him X amount, and it was maybe $15,000 each or $20,000. It was very modest comparatively, and they're paying a certain percentage. So he approached me and actually asked my coaching and advice on whether or not to continue, because in his opinion, the effort he was putting into making them successful or even just not failing did not correspond with the licensing fees or franchising fees, right? So he was asking me, should I scale and do more of that, or should I just drop it? So I told him the same thing, do the math. So we actually did the math together and just said, okay, if you succeed and do 100 of these, what is it going to look like in terms of both time commitment, energy commitment, and the income you're going to generate from that. And when he looked at that, he said, it's definitely not worth it. I don't want to do this. So then his conclusion was not to shut it down, but just not grow it, which might be the right solution in his case. So just a very basic arithmetic, right? What's your franchising fee? Well, it's X number. Well, multiplied by the number of licensees or franchisees you're willing to take on. What's that amount? And then correspond to, like, there are some expenses associated with obviously franchisor or licensor. You can have advertising fees, you can have administrative staff fees, because you want your licensees and franchisees to be supported. You want them to have access to you somehow, to your resources. You want them to be successful. You want them to get proper training. You want them to get proper support. So that costs money. So figure out how much money it's going to cost, and then, make it part of your equation, because it's not going to be, sometimes as pretty or as rosy as you think. Some of the pitfalls that I see in franchising or licensing are not selecting the correct licensee or franchisee. If you don't have a good fit, just like with coaching, if you don't have a good fit with your partner, essentially that's your partner, right? It's your partner, it's somebody who's gonna follow you, you're gonna do this journey together. So if there's not a lot of trust, there's not a lot of kind of even the horsepower in that other person, because they are looking upon you to figure stuff out that's hard. And if you're not giving it enough attention and they're not gaining traction, then the pitfall of that would be they'll look upon you to say, like, you're failing me. And yeah, I'm the type of person who will not take it well to see somebody fail, especially one of my partners. So I will actually disproportionately invest time and effort into that person and that enterprise. And that's kind of my biggest hesitation with that. I'm trying to be super careful about who I'm partnering with, just so I understand that that person is going to succeed no matter what. And that's what I tell them. You're going to succeed no matter what. You don't actually have to buy my license or franchise. You can go just start it on your own. It's just going with me. You're just going to save quite a bit of money and time, potentially, but you're good, actually. And that's true. That's the truth. If I feel like that's the person who's going to either not respect my opinion, if we offer certain systems or certain strategies and the person doesn't even consider them, then that's not going to be a good fit for us. Or if the person who is kind of very, how should I say, not very proactive, doesn't have high energy, is just going to sit there and kind of not move it forward on their own, like a force of nature that they should be, it's not going to be successful, right? Meaning, if it's not successful, then I'm going to have to jump in and make it successful, which there's only one me, so I don't want to do that. So.